I want my schools protected, just like my banks are protected, just like everything else. And I get a kick. I was watching a politician, weak, ineffective politician last night. I'll tell you his name, but I don't want to embarrass anybody. And he was talking about no guns, no this, no that. And yet he's surrounded by 3 guys carrying guns. I said, well, when are they going to give up their guns? They're not going to give up their guns. But he wants everybody else to have no guns, all right? And you have plenty of them.
All right, that was from today's listening session. That was at the White House, 2 days in a row, following this horrific mass shooting last week. Well, the president has now shown leadership. He's trying to find solutions, keeping our schools and our kids safe. Joining us now, a big, warm CPAC welcome to the counsel to the president, Kellyanne Conway. Wow. All right, so there have been a lot of school shootings, like a lot of issues. Like everybody talked about opening Anwar, and nobody did it till President Trump did it.
That's right. Moving Jerusalem.
Nobody talked. Yeah, everyone talked about moving the capital to Jerusalem. Nobody did it, but Donald Trump. Is he going to now solve this problem of school shootings?
I believe he can, and he will. I think we should all be very grateful that Donald J. Trump is the president at this time. For the President of the United States to hold back-to-back sessions yesterday and today public safety, school safety, with elected officials, with commissioners of the police, with sheriffs, with educators, and of course the mayor of Parkland, Florida, who's really been a remarkable woman throughout this. For him to do that yesterday and yesterday to have the parents and the students there and those who have suffered over the years, including last week in Florida. Sean, this is a man who's always listening. He has listened to the angel moms and dads. He's listened to the Obamacare victims. He's listened to the coal miners. He's listened to the families and the business owners come to the White House and say how they would spend the tax savings that they would get from any cut. He's listened to big business, to small business, to aspiring entrepreneurs, to young people all across this country whose future is more prosperous and more safe because of him. And he's now taken this all the way into, I think, a scourge on our society, and there are many. But for the President of the United States to welcome these people into his house yesterday, they were in the state dining room, and to just listen. He didn't make it about himself, as politicians often do. He didn't interrupt them. He spoke very little, very sparingly. He and the Vice President took into account all of the, I think, the emotion and the grief, but also the resolve and the purposefulness.
We just played a clip of the president. He also spoke yesterday about how the average school shooting is over in 3 minutes. Yeah. Even the best first responders, as great as they are, they need 6 minutes to get there.
Yes.
That's why, and he made another good point. All these politicians, all these celebrities, all these people that would like to disarm Americans that aren't willing to put retired armed military, retired armed police in the schools, they're usually pretty well protected with their own security forces of armed people, like at the Oscars, et cetera. So there's a lot of hypocrisy here, and the lectures that come from people that themselves have security and armed guards falls flat, at least on my ears, and I think most people here.
This president is pretty adept at pointing out hypocrisy. And I think in this case, it's been said by many people over the last week, and it's indubitably true, that if we really care about our children, and we all do in this country, then we have to at least protect them the way we protect many places, stadiums, and obviously banks have been talked about.
Concerts.
Clearly, anywhere where there is a celebrity. I look at our children much that way. I think they're our future heroes, and they're celebrities in their own right, in their own households, and I think that they deserve the same protection that many people who can afford it.
I have a scenario that I think everybody at home and everybody here, I want you to just think about for 1 second. If, God forbid, you ever find yourself in any administration building, I don't know where or how this ever would happen, and there's an active shooter, would you or would you not want retired armed military, retired armed police on site so you have a fighting chance? I think we owe that to America's children as a simple, fundamental, basic front line of defense.
The president made that point again and again today, and for the second consecutive day, he had the cameras rolling and the mics open the entire time. unscripted, unrehearsed, unfiltered, and I would say quite unexpected. And he made that point today. We need to harden our targets, and our schools need to be places where a would-be mass murderer believes that he or she is not going to have their way there, that if they know there are, that they can't easily get in and do their damage, that they will think twice about that. And he made that very clear. He came in really tough today about that because he wants to make sure that we solve this once and for all. These are necessary conversations and not easy solutions, but we should give, I think, the president and the vice president and others
what do you make of the
great
liberal
credit
media?
For having that conversation.
What do you make of the liberal media? And they're just, within seconds and hours, they're out there with their predictable talking points and attacking the president.
They're really missing the essence of what yesterday really was about. If you listen very carefully to the people in that room, and they had the floor, they came there with ideas. They came there with, certainly with controversies. I think that the disagreement in the room yesterday over policy from the affected families reflects very much the disagreement across this country. But that disagreement needs to be heard, and the different ideas need to be aired. And what I believe is that you still have, I think there are many people in the media who are trying to get the story. I think there are still too many who are trying to get the president. And it's unfortunate that would happen after a day like yesterday, where even some of his fiercest critics say it was a very positive event. It was a very good thing for him to have hosted at the White House. At the same time, anybody who came away yesterday and took one little snippet and tried to manipulate anybody's words is really being disingenuous as to the tone and the content of the entire event, and being quite disrespectful to the people who were in the room, who were really the ones speaking.
Kellyanne Conway, let's give her a big, warm CPAC welcome. It's always great to have you. Thank you for being with us. I appreciate it. And hang on. Coming up, new developments on the phony anti-Trump, Clinton bought and paid for dossier. Sarah Carter, Greg Jarrett, Matt Schlapp, all next. Stay with us.
This is where life experience.